Hi, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Sheehan podcast. Today's guest is a friend of mine that I've known for about 10 years and goes by the name of Mark Coles. He is one of the leading figures in the personal training industry. He owns a gym in Nottingham called M10. He also runs educational seminars and mentorships for personal trainers, of all experience, but kind of especially for one starting out. It's always a great place to start. He's also just written his first book called Level Up, which I am reading and can say really, really enjoying. I first came into contact with Mark through, actually, there's an article that Charles Poliquin wrote about him back in 2010. And through that, I kind of looked into Mark's business, M10. I saw the results they were getting, and I wanted to learn from them. I then saw that they did mentorships, where you could go up for the day and spend the day with Mark. Learning to become what at the time was called a fat loss specialist, which I went up. It was one of the most pivotal days of my career. I mean, it was the most pivotal day of my career, and I went away from that day, implemented what I'd learned, and got some amazing results with my close friends. I then took them back to Mark and showed him, and he offered me a job pretty much on the spot, actually. So I thought amazing. I'd always kind of wanted to take my career to the next step. So I moved up to Newark, which I'd never heard of. It's in the middle of nowhere, trust me. I then spent, it was just over a year, and it was an intensive period because the M10 at the time was it was a small business. It was just Mark, myself, and two other trainers. And we kind of lived in each other's pockets, and we bonded and became really close friends. After that, I then obviously moved back down to London, but we remained friends the whole time, and we sort of have kept in contact ever since. Mark he's a wealth of knowledge. He's a very successful guy, and we've always kind of enjoyed chats that we're never afraid of getting, a little bit deeper than, oh, you're right, mate, how many bicep curls you done today? As much as we are, gym rats, we really bond over the kind of almost deeper side of conversation, which we share a common interest in. I guess just kind of exploring the possibility of oneself. Sounds a little bit crazy, I know, but we like that. And we've had many chats, and I thought it was about time we kind of got one recorded. And when I wanted to start a podcast, I thought, no better kind of way and more of like an honour for me to have Mark on as my first guest, and he was super happy to do that too. So today's podcast is about just that. I think I say in it that I could have spoken to Mark about many things, but actually I wanted to kind of explore his journey with personal development and kind of where that came from and where it's got him, because he has, and I've seen it firsthand, really evolved as a person, and it's amazing to see. And I think that not enough people kind of almost even aware of that space, and it's great. So yeah, I really enjoyed our conversation. Let's get into it. I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Mark Coles. Thanks so much for taking the time to come on. I know you've done, I guessed at about 73 podcasts this week. I know it's been a few. You've got a busy week. I know you've got your book coming out, and I want to talk about that desperately. I've been reading it, by the way, and actually have been reading it. It's well thumbed. And we're going to get into all of that. First of all, how are you?
Lucas, I'm great. I love our conversations. We don't have, I don't say we don't have enough of them. We have plenty of them at the right times. And when we do have them, they're brilliant. So I'm very well, and I'm very excited to delve into wherever we end up.
Do you know exactly that? As I was thinking, because I've tapped you up, 10 times saying, mate, I want to start a podcast and I want you to be the first guest. And I just kind of felt like we have so many conversations that I just feel like should have been recorded. And
No, I know.
It's exactly that.
We leave each other and just go,
I know.
It's
I'll
almost
text you and be like, mate, need to do that more, and then we don't. But that's classic.
It's naturally just overdid the conversation probably for about 4 months worth of conversation.
Exactly, mate. For the 6 people that don't know who you are, could you give some sort of summary of just kind of like where you're at, what you're doing, and who kind of like Mark Coles is?
Well, so I'll just tell you and tell the listeners this, that you and I worked together when I had my first M10 studio, and they were great times. So people that aren't listening to this and wonder if there's what the relationship is between me and you. You clean the gym for me, essentially.
It's so funny. In our interview, when I came up and met you, you said, we have cleaners. And that was like such a big selling point. I was coming from being a gym instructor where you are a cleaner. You're literally a cleaner.
Yeah, you won't be cleaning. No, but you came, do you know what? And you know, I won't delve into it too much, but, you know, in the early days of having my first studio, as it kind of was, it turned into like a little mini gym. You were one of the first trainers there, and you know, that was a journey of learning for me. You know, I was doing everything wrong, and you know, you stuck by the brand and stuck by me, and I'll never ever forget that. And I just want to say how grateful I am for your trust in me when I actually didn't really know how to manage people, and you trust in me to help guide you on a part of your journey. And I'm just very grateful that you gave me that opportunity, because things have come on a hell of a long way since there. And our relationship, which matters a lot to me, by the way, has come on a long way, and we're still here. And I'm very grateful to be here today. So that's the first thing I wanted to say.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it. So tell me what you do.
What do I do? Well, for the last 19 years, I am still very proud to say I'm a personal trainer. I don't actively coach on the gym floor as much. I have a couple of people that I help all the time, kind of online. But I started out like nearly every personal trainer, working in a health club. But there was always a little niggle inside me about wanting more, wanting a little bit extra. So when I got to a point in the gym where I kind of felt I'd outgrown it, I set up my own personal training studio. You being part of that growth for about, how long were you at 2 or 3 years at the studio? 2 years?
Just under, no, about a year and a half.
Year and a half at the studio, yeah. So 6 years. So about a year and a half at that studio before we moved to Nottingham. But I did about 4.5 years at that one, and then opened up a gym in Nottingham. And throughout the whole of that time, I was a very active personal trainer, coaching people on the gym floor, coaching people online, building my reputation, building my brand. And then I'd say even kind of just as we were getting to the back end of M10, because you reached out to me and said, do you do mentorships? Mm-hmm. I think, and you and I spent some time together. So right back 12 years ago, I'd not been in the industry more than kind of 4 or 5 years, like, you know, a bit more than that, 6 years. And you know, people were saying to me, do you do mentorships? Do you help? And then from that early days, I started to become very interested in teaching other people what I do, what I know. And now that whole journey has come 360, kind of like teaching people. I've gone from teaching general population, body transformations, bodybuilders, physique athletes, how to get in the best shape of their life, to now teaching personal trainers how to build a business and a brand. And a large percentage of what I personally do is business, brand development for fitness professionals, whether it's online coaching or personal training. Various different programs that I have for that. And then we have a gym in Nottingham where there's a phenomenal team of coaches delivering the highest level of personal training and essentially delivering what we teach to fitness professionals. And we have an education program that teaches fitness professionals all over the world now our methodologies for training clients in the gym. So it's gone quite. It's been
crazy,
quite
isn't it?
It's been a long
growth.
journey.
And do you know what? And it's not in a long time. I left. I was literally about to ask what year it is. So I left about 7 years ago, and that's and the difference from the where I left. So Nottingham had just opened. Like, the difference is crazy. You still had Newark.
Well, we had Newark, and then we kind of closed that down, which was a blessing, actually. And then Nottingham became kind of like, and still is to this day, you know, the centre of excellence for personal training for us, and that's what we pride ourselves on it being. But what I've always been someone that I kind of tick a box, and you and I have talked at length about this. I tick a box and say, what's next?
Yeah.
I don't get anxious about what is next, but what used to happen at the gym is I was training, body fat loss and body composition, as we called it in the days. Mm-hmm. And then I was getting results, and I was like, but I want these results to be better. Mm-hmm. And then I kept studying more and traveling more and learning more. And then it's this natural thing whereby if you want more of something and you study and you notice that when you study or you get mentors, that thing that you wanted more of increases, you realize that why don't you just do more of that thing? And I think that's been the story of my life the whole way, is that for everything that I wanted, I've just kind of found out who's got it. And that's why we've ended up teaching, because it gives me and the team so much pride to teach the things that we've learned along the way. It's that whole thing of just passing on, isn't it? I think in life, you presented your first seminar recently, and too so well deserved that you did that, but you've got so much to pass on. And it kind of, that's my purpose. My purpose is essentially now helping fitness professionals achieve a fulfilling, successful and happy career. And those roadblocks that trainers run into, that I've run into, that you've run into, I just want to provide solutions.
Yeah.
Not here's the definitive answer to it. I want to give somebody the opportunity to find out the answers themselves, but give them nuggets along the way that can help them kind of move forward.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's the natural progression. If you look at how many people you can impact as a PT, you have your one-on-one, and then that can grow, and then that's going to have a ceiling to it. And then you can have PTs that work for you, then that's going to have a ceiling to it. And now you're at the stage where, I mean, the numbers are crazy of the amount of PTs that come through your systems, and you're affecting all of their clients. So it's just like a natural ripple of how many people you can affect, and it's crazy, the growth.
It was quite funny you say that, because you and I were just talking before we came on the podcast. I still have a personal development coach, and one of the things I was talking to her about not so long ago was I had a bit of a challenge in me, if I'm absolutely honest, and the challenge was, why do you still not coach, Mark? And I had this posed to me. Why do you still not train people? And I went, it was almost like a bit of a flat spot, because I've just gone with this whole journey of being, I don't walk in M10 and feel any kind of issue with the fact I'm not training people because of the journey I've done, along the way.
Yeah.
But I spoke to my coach, and I just said, this is an interesting question. I've been working out to myself, like, should I, in this natural word, like, should I still be coaching some sort of people? And she's like, well, do you realize how many people you still train?
Yeah, exactly.
And I went, what do you mean? And even now, that kind of realization that if I train 100 trainers that have got 30 clients each, that's thousands of clients that we're impacting through the education.
Yeah.
So then I realized the podcast that I do, the posts that I put out, the book, that I've written, that ability for me to impact the fitness industry more than just one client or 30 sessions a week.
Yeah.
Is this thing that we now do, which is education.
Yeah, and do you know what's funny is I had on a very small scale this. So I did my seminar, and then people went away and they've sent me results that they've got from implementing the things that we went through, and I got the same feeling that I had got. When you get a client result and you do their afterwards, you look back and they're like beaming, and you think like, this is amazing, what a great day, and it's such a high, and then makes you want to do it again. When I had somebody sent me a result that they got from using the things I taught them, was the same. I was like, this is amazing. I just want to keep going. I just want to keep going. So it's funny how you can still get the same high like through that kind of system as well.
Do you know what? I get a message on Instagram. I get an email it's the thing that I love, that I've become very aware of, is I deeply love coaching.
Yeah.
I deeply love people.
Mm-hmm.
And I deeply love making a difference. So when I would help somebody lose weight, whether it was a body transformation, whether it was weight loss, whatever it was, just that person saying that you've helped me get to this. I had during my childhood, I kind of didn't have a lot of recognition. I didn't feel I got a lot of recognition, and didn't really kind of feel that recognition for me, that acknowledgement of, I think you've done well. I got none of it at school because I wasn't particularly intelligent. Mm-hmm. Certainly didn't get much attention off the girls. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't very big. So I'm actually very grateful for all those things that I wasn't, or perceived wasn't, when I was younger. Mm-hmm. Because my whole life has been dedicated to learning more, building my physique, building my mindset, to then share that and teach other people how I've done the same. So for everything I think I didn't have when I was younger, I'd take that again.
Yeah.
And I think that's such an important thing for people to understand, is that, for everything that you perceive that you didn't have, that you're really frustrated and angry towards when you were younger, all of that has got me to where I am now. And all of that still feeds me forward.
Well, all of those things, anything you see as a weakness is an opportunity to gain, and something that you can add to your arsenal. And there's
It's
nothing.
two-sided.
Mate, you know what? And this just came to me. We watched separately the Tony Robbins "I'm Not Your Guru" doc, and one line in it, I remember I met we had lunch after, and you said, "Mate, have you seen it?" I was like, "Yeah, it was great." And we both agreed the best line in it is when he says, "I created me," and that for me was like the biggest, like yes, that's so fucking possible.
Yeah.
And that is one thing you taught me super early on. And more for you, just kind of like watching how you set your day up, like what you think about, and like talking about, you introduced me to NLP, limiting beliefs, all that thing, which I want to ask you about now. That was like the huge, like you can seriously change and take charge of like your life. And that for me was such a huge turning point. And can you talk to me quickly about where that started with you? And what I'm first fascinated with is why, like, how do you even get to the point that you realize that you can make a change and make such a difference? And I can tell you that it's calmed down in the last year, I'd say, but from 2011 to 2000 and probably 18, every time I saw you, and I'd see you once a year, twice a year, maybe three if we're being lucky, you were different. And it's not like you had a different personality, you were just evolved as a person. And it was so crazy for me to see, and I'd never told you, although I wanted to, because it was like you go away, you work on these things, and you come back and you're just different. And it was just always better. It was so weird. And it's not that you were ever bad, of course, but it was like every time you just added something to your arsenal. And you do so much work on personal development. And I am very aware of how mumbo jumbo up with the fairies it can sound, but like seeing it firsthand, I was like, bloody hell. And then you put that next to the level of success you've had over the last 10 years. Like for me, there's the evidence that it's a real thing that you can just change so many things about you. And it's not about, hating yourself. It's just about improving yourself because you like yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Can you tell me where that started with you and why it started?
I will just tell you this because, it was just an important moment that you just kind of brought out when Tony Robbins said, like he created him. I was on a podcast with somebody 2 weeks ago, and it was very much more on personal development. Actually, it was a specific show about personal growth and development, and we were talking about kind of like my life and where I kind of got to, and I made my wife come into my life.
Mm-hmm.
No doubts about that.
Yeah,
I made it happen.
Yeah,
I made everything in my life happen. And right now, you might think, damn, he's going to go somewhere. I will go somewhere, because when my wife arrived, I went, good boy. Like that, like it's worked. Do you know why I tell you that? Is because the whole of my life, like even through the times of feeling lonely and trying to work out what that meant, and meeting girls and then knowing they weren't right, and trying to work out what the messaging was all about. And I was always about messaging. I'll get into that in a second. And working through kind of like, the completion in my life was meeting my wife, without a doubt. Like if you want to know what completed my character, it's her.
Well, that's why you've not changed since. I mean, the date's perfect.
Yeah.
When did you meet? When did you meet your wife?
4 years. We actually got married on August the 11th. We met on June the 20th.
Oh god.
Yeah, 20th. But we've done. I think we're over 4 years now together.
Yes, it's perfect timing.
But it is perfect timing. And I will tell you right now, at that moment, and I watch people so clearly who are living with like anger towards situations is 9 times out of 10 not the situation. It's the emotions of yourself.
Yep.
Because if we look at situations, we're not in control of those situations. We're in control of how we act around those situations. So if you turn up to a restaurant and they say, I'm sorry, the table's late. Do you mind having a drink at the bar? And you go crazy. That's not about the table being late. We've given you a perfect solution. You're here for a restful evening. Have a drink, relax. We'll get you the table ready. I've been getting ready for 10, 15 minutes. That's nothing to do with the table. That's you. So essentially, we have all these unbalanced emotions that are just rifling through us. And when I was 23, I mean, unbalanced emotions doesn't begin to explain it. I was angry at a lot of things, frustrated at a lot of things, doing drink and drugs at the weekend, just trying to find out who the hell I am. And my NLP coach at the time, who happens to be one of my clients, she was breaking into the NLP world, started to do some NLP with me. And we started to understand that kind of like we can alter how we feel about different situations. I was like, nah, mumbo jumbo, absolute rubbish. Yeah.
But wait, so she was a client of yours. That's how that you met.
I've written about her a bit in the book. Jane was a lady who, her and her husband, very much into personal development, and she reached out to me purposefully to help me. Right. So I believe wholeheartedly that she, if you want to use guardian angel or whatever, but I swear down, I think there was a point that I was saying, I'm completely lost. I need help out of this. And I get a phone call from this lady. And at the time, I wouldn't have even said this to you, but looking back through my life now, it all makes sense. She came in to contact me and she said, I want personal training. I went out to her house. I met her there. I mean, you met Jane, obviously. You remember Jane, right?
Yeah.
I went out to her house. I said to her, look, I need to train you in the gym. And then we trained 3 times a week for years. And at the beginning of the journey, she was talking to me about personal development, how she thought that I had a gift. And I was like, whatever, like, do your squats, you know, and I was kind of like, I'd have these fits in between, like not being happy with myself, frustrated, right at the point of not knowing anything about personal development. And she just says, one day, read this. And she gave me the secret.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. I sat on the end of my bed and I didn't leave the bed till I finished it. There's just something that hooked me in.
Yeah, that's so crazy. And this is the point where your rugby player, like Mark Cole's out on a weekend guy.
Fucking coke taking, beer drinking. No, but here's the thing. I'm not ashamed of doing drugs.
No.
At all.
Yeah. Whatever.
And I'll tell you why I'm not ashamed of them. Because if I didn't, I wouldn't be on the podcast with you today.
Yeah. I mean, that's everything, isn't it? That's like
completely.
Yeah, I get it.
I'm grateful. This is the problem in life. And if you're cringing and thinking, oh, I think Mark's a bad person, brilliant. Because I guarantee if you stop and go, is there something equally as challenging that you may perceive to be a bad in your life at some point that's equally as bad as what you think I've done? You've got exactly the same trait that I have in just a different form.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's very easy for us to look at people and go, oh my God, that's who he is. And I'm like, listen, you know, everybody's had something they've overcome at some point in their life. And at that point for me, the reason I went down into a bit of a hole was to try and deliberately give me a reason to get out. And so I remember it was just terrible weekends of partying and drugs and all this sort of stuff. I thought it was terrible, but I was having a bloody good time doing it. And Jane said, read the kind of secret, which threw me massively. And I never forget the question to her. And I just said, Jane, is it possible for people to change? And she said, you can have anything in life that you want. You can change everything. And I went, okie dokie, this is weird. And I want people to know who listen to the podcast right now that I had that whole, this is weird.
Yeah.
And then she just said to me, she said, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, you can change. And she suggested to me, there was no further reading that I did, to go and do a 3-day course called the Landmark Forum. And it was about exploring the opportunity that life can be everything. And exploring the possibility that you can have a wonderful life. That's what it was all about.
Right.
So essentially waking up in the morning, you know, I know you do not wake up in the morning and go, oh, right. You go, woohoo, right? a large percentage of the population go, oh.
Yeah.
And that whole weekend was about trying to create the opportunity in your life to never have that again.
Right.
And that was 3 days of just deep tear you to pieces.
Yeah.
Let you go back to Euston. It was at Euston Hotel in London.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like Macaulay Culkin with a backpack because I was in the city in Nottingham, in Newark. And remember going around London going, oh my God, and on that whole weekend, I remember being a personal trainer. I was on my own and I spent some time with people. It was a very huggy weekend. Like everybody, I really felt uncomfortable. It was like, look to the person next to you. I love you. I love you.
Oh, wow.
And I remember John DeMartini said the other day, like when he did a presentation, he went to a course and he used to go up on the stage and just look at this screen and say, I love myself.
God.
And it was a big part of the process, right?
Yeah.
And people went up and went, I can't. And John DeMartini said he was at the back queuing, waiting to go, give me a go. And I realized they didn't love me. I didn't like who I was. And so I clearly was sabotaging so much in my life. But at the same time, I was wanting to be a personal trainer, wanting to be respected. I had all these confusing messages. And then I started to have more deeper conversations with Jane. And when I come back from the Landmark Forum, I kind of got it, but didn't get it.
Yeah.
Then, I don't know whether you know this, but John DeMartini wrote in The Secret.
Right, yeah, I didn't know that.
He was part of it. And he was speaking in I think it was the Apollo in London. Right. And I went down and listened to a talk on quantum physics. Pretty deep. But there were parts of it that I really resonated with. I really kind of got my head around it. And I thought, I've done this 3 or 4 days. I've read The Secret. I'm doing this. I feel different. I feel better. I'm starting to kind of realize that there's a possibility that how I feel can be different.
Yeah.
And that's really where it began, because then I remember doing courses with Charles Poliquin. The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari is a book that he recommended to read. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing is, then after Jane telling me about personal development and Charles talking about it, I was like, this is clearly a thing.
Yeah.
So I self-taught, and I just started reading, taking action, changing, and then realizing that I was responsible for everything that I did. And that moment I went, you think you're not good enough and not smart enough. What if you study absolutely everything that you possibly can and create yourself as the type of personal trainer that you want to be? And I went, okay. And I don't know where I got this from, but come up with a vision of where you want to be. And I said, I want to be the best known trainer in my town. Mm-hmm. And then create this idea of what does that look like, and then go after it. And I can't tell you that there was, but I'm going to say this right now. It's like, if you want to be leaner, but you've never been lean, and you start reading or hiring a coach that's skilled in getting you lean, you just have to trust the process. And I trusted the personal development process to guide me. And I just went, I'm going to keep reading and doing what it says, because I feel better now than I did do when I was doing this. Mm-hmm. And that brought this whole mentality of just keep getting better, because for everything that I didn't have at school and all the friends that I didn't have, every time I became a better human being in myself, I got more friends, I felt better in myself, and that led me to just keep going.
It just snowballs, right? And once once you've had your eyes open to it, then that's addictive, because you are progressing, you're feeling better, and like that's what everybody wants, is to feel better. And once you know this can make you feel better, I mean, that's it, isn't it? That's the answer. God, mate, it's so fucking huge. And I remember when I met you, and you were, so how old were you? You would have been like 29, 30, I think. 30, no, wait, where were you now? You were about 30, 31. Yeah. And you were very much, I thought you'd completed it. I was like, well, he's finished his development. But you were very much at the beginning of it and in the thick of it.
Very much at the beginning, mate.
And talking about, I'd never heard of the term limiting beliefs. And I remember you sat me down and we would just chat. And you sort of, yes, you said, oh, there's what this thing is you'll have like beliefs about yourself that then stop you from doing things. And I was kind of thinking like, okay, so yeah, I guess I might have some of those. And you said to me once, like I would never read a book because I had already decided in my mind that I won't remember any of it anyway, so I'll never read it. And I was like, I do that. And that is literally me. And that was the one thing you said to me that I was like, well, I'm reading every personal development book I can, because that's exactly what I believe. And at the time you would made websites, got your own gym. It was like crazy. So I thought, well, we're the same, and
Yeah.
I don't have to
But
be this
Lucas,
way.
this is what's wonderful about our relationship, because it doesn't matter how much further on in my career I am in terms of time frame. Like you and me in terms of our values and what we want out of life as individuals brings a connection to us both. And what was amazing at that point with Jane, and I'll tell everybody here actually, that at the time when I started to do a bit more work with Jane, and we were still at Newark, the first gym, I got contacted by Men's Health, and I'd started my Facebook page, and obviously, I was getting some help from Matt Lovell, who's a very well-known nutritionist. He worked with the England rugby team, Premiership football, and a lot of general population people as well. And I got asked he put me in touch with a guy who was editor of Men's Health. He said, do you want to write a piece for Men's Health? And I had absolute terrible anxiety, and I said, yes, of course, I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I started writing, and then I had this belief in me that you're absolutely rubbish. And this belief, like I said to you, was crippling to me.
Yep.
Every time I try and write down, I had a subconscious feeling that says you're not good enough. And I remember having some NLP with Jane, and we went back to school. And NLP kind of looks a little bit differently to kind of stuff that I've done nowadays. But Jane minimized the emotional energy that I had charged around being stupid. I was called brainless Bill, sit at the back of the class. Like we've got to remember, I mean, when we say how much teachers are damaging us, this is the thing. I learned recently that, bullies can actually be our greatest teachers, because a bully essentially stops you becoming weak, because you grow 9 times out of 10 from bullying. And if you look at it in a way that bullying has destroyed you, where in actual fact bullying made you, because bullying I had at school. Mm-hmm. But I ended up building my body, business and brain as a result of people saying that I couldn't.
Yeah.
And right at the time when I was thinking at school, like, I'm not very smart, people were bullying me, I can't write a book, like I can't write exams. I'd got this big perception of myself that I was thick. And that was riddled through me trying to write and design articles for the website. So through NLP at the time, Jane just completely minimized the noise around the attachment that I have to that charged emotion.
Yeah.
And I started writing articles, and then before I knew it, my website has got 300 articles.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
And I hadn't got a voice. I hadn't found my voice. And rather than saying to yourself, I'm not very good at writing articles, I'm not very good at speaking on camera, like this isn't a natural, I'd say the only thing that's stopping you, I'm not naturally good at writing, I'm not naturally good at speaking on camera. No, we're all naturally good at that. We're all naturally good at that. You've just got a lot of built up something around something else that gives you the reason to doubt your ability to do that.
And it's holding you back.
It's polarized. It's one-sided. Like you're not smart, you're not clever, you're not read enough, you're not good enough to do a video. And then you have these kind of mixed up, complete raveled up emotions and perceptions about yourself that are one-sided towards you are shit. And what Jane helped me do massively was undo those to see that they're actually serving me. Yeah. And then I started to write my articles, and that kind of snowballed from there, because I started to unravel a lot of the bollocks that I'd been telling myself.
Yeah.
And I think that we've got a story that's running on inside our head that is literally telling us we're not good enough. Mm-hmm. And I think that a lot of times it's the story. And I never encourage anybody to get rid of anything, because what we've got with us, because it's who we are, it's just how you see this that changes your ability to be able to become more successful. And that's what I did a lot with Jane in the early days, and have done countless hours on since. And I'm fascinated that even to this day, I still walk and drive and listen to more so courses now, rather than I've gone past listening to motivational stuff.
Yeah.
I don't listen to motivation because I'm my own inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
For me, my dad, do you know what's funny? Years ago, we were having a dinner and we'd had a couple of glasses of wine and my dad was around the table and we said, Dad, who inspires you? And Dad goes, me. And I'm like, fuck, sorry, language. I'm like, crikey, this is insane.
Yeah.
But I thought about that for a minute. What better thing in your life to be inspired than yourself?
Yeah. Well, it's not external then, is it? You don't rely on somebody else. You're just your self-starter.
Well, we've got a lot of our personal training clients, and you have your personal training come to see you for motivation.
Yeah.
Right. And then without you, they're useless.
Mm.
And you're like, well, I'd love to be able to give you the tools, the tactics, the skills, the systems, the processes to get you lean, but I'd love you to be inspired by your own life in a way.
Yeah, I totally
because ultimately, I'm not losing weight. I'm still fascinated by this. Like I wonder how different I'd be as a coach to this day in terms of actually coaching one-on-one with people in the gym. But how different would your life be if you were inspired to be in shape? And if it was inspiring to you because it mattered. And I think there's a lot of people, like, it doesn't matter enough you don't have to be shredded, but it doesn't matter enough. You haven't been able to link the dots between living a fulfilled life by losing weight and feeling great. Therefore, all you actually need, like making money, is if you're inspired to run a business, you just need the tactics to make the money.
Yeah. So it's this whole like intrinsic motivation versus extrinsic motivation. And so many people it's almost like they work on or feed off of a negative or a fear or this like external motivation rather than just knowing that if I do this, I feel better. And that's for me, that's it. Like when I train, I feel better. I'm not trying to impress anybody. I don't care. I know that it's good for me. And that's the motivation, so you exercise.
This was one of the things that I actually had to work on myself, because I think we become fitness professionals because we like training, we like working out, we like going to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And then after a while, personal training as a career gets bloody boring.
Mm.
It is.
Yeah, well, if you don't progress, right?
If you don't progress, it's like any career, right? Yeah. Let's be honest. I'm just bored with personal training. Like, how can you not be inspired? I interviewed somebody on the podcast on Monday for mine, and he was just talking to me about stuff that like was really, really fascinating. And I was like, I want to train people, and I find that interesting with fitness professionals because, the ability to learn more, to help people, and to not only help people, but to help yourself so that you get paid handsomely for that thing that you do. Mm-hmm. And every day you can go in to help people get better at what they do, which inspires their life and the family and live around them. Like, what other profession does that?
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Are you aware of oh my God, what's it called? It's called an ikigai. It's the Japanese proverb, which is it roughly translates to living a meaningful life. Yes. And it's like built of, I think it's 4 different things. And if your career or basically what gets you up in the morning is these 4 things, in you'll live a long, happy life. And one of them's it's something you're good at, something oh my God, something that you can make money from, something that you like. And something that the world needs, which is for me like the I mean, if you just wrote personal trainer, for me you just write those 4 things underneath it. I can make money, I'm good at it, luckily, the world needs it, and it's something that I love. So because of those 4 things mean that it's never going to be boring for me. It's crazy. And I think that, you deal with so many people that are fresh in the industry. You deal with a lot of kind of like year oneers, and I think like self-awareness is so huge to kind of like have a successful career and just kind of knowing what, is this the right thing for you? And I think you need to answer those 4 things. If it does, it tick those 4 things, to know that if you're going to make a real go of this or not. Because it's such a, this, like the industry is crazy. The dropout rate is insane. The turnover of staff in gyms is crazy. Everyone's been a personal trainer. Oh yeah, I used to be a PT. I used to be a PT. It's like, okay, I'm trying to do something slightly different here. But it's funny. Because I was thinking before this podcast, I thought, like I've got Mark here, and I'm always super aware how lucky I am to kind of be able to talk to like people like yourself. And I've got, what do I want to talk to Mark about? Building a PT business, opening a gym, fat loss, maybe muscle building, maybe marketing, maybe branding. What kind of talk to him about? But then I kind of wanted to go down this route of personal development, because without that, I don't think you get any of the others anyway.
No.
And is that something that you explore with new PTs, like
So,
their own journeys?
well, let me tell you this about education. Education gets lost on a mind that has no purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Make sure I write that one down.
Yeah, just send it to me on a WhatsApp, would you?
That's going on the website.
Yeah, no. I truly, it's not that I believe this. I've seen it. Education is lost on people without purpose, and the reason being is it just becomes noise.
Yeah, it's just
It's
words.
just noise. So you go on a seminar, you sit there, and you just see this. As I'm talking, you see people at the back like this, and you're like, I've never done that in my life.
Yeah.
I go to a seminar and I'm sitting there and I'm literally glued on the lecturer.
Yeah,
and then I see trainers nowadays like literally taking photos of me going on their Instagram. Great lecture from Mark. I'm like, did you listen to what I was actually saying? Like, why don't you just put it up later? Like, but this is true, right? So what I think in terms of the way that I actually work with people right now is, at the beginning of my career as a personal trainer, I'm bored of doing this. I was just training people.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went, okay, I'm bored of it, but I love being a trainer.
Right.
So now, if I'm bored of training these people, what is it I'm bored of? They're not getting results. Well, if they're not getting results, can I learn more to get better results? But what type of trainer do I want to be? And I remember at one point, I was kind of going down the route of rehab, and that's where I was bored. I was training people every day. It's like rehab, movement stuff, and I was like, don't enjoy that. It's not really my jam.
Yeah.
So there were so many challenging questions in my head, which is, I'm doing this, I'm studying this because they tell you that's what you should do, but I'm not inspired by it.
Mm-hmm.
But the funny thing is, everything that I ever studied right now, I'm so glad that I did, because it's given me all these tools to be a teacher. So I think that the reason why I did all that was to learn such a multifaceted way of being. But it was noisy. There was lots of stuff going on, and I hadn't really found my purpose. And here's the funny thing. Do you need to be in the industry 1, 3, 5 years before you do find your purpose? No. Mm-hmm. I think that the thing that's around you every day, very, very clearly, if I look at your book cabinet, I guarantee a large percentage is personal development.
Yeah. It's right. This one behind me is personal development and feminism, but only 50% are mine. Yeah, the rest are Christina's.
But mate, here's the thing. Go into my office, a large percentage, you've got a lot of, there's a lot of personal training and mechanics and nutrition books and supplements and stuff in Nottingham that we've got in storage. But everything that I've got upstairs in my office is marketing, business, and personal development. So like 2 rows. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because all I tried to do was realize that I actually don't think, that we need as much noise in our heads from education.
Right.
That people fill their heads with, because they think that by studying mechanics, nutrition, supplementation, movement analysis, that makes you a great coach.
Yeah, God, yeah.
I think that just makes you a confused coach.
Well, it's 40% at best of what being a PT is, right?
Right. Just more knowledge. Now let's stop it for a second and go, where do you want to be in 3 to 5 years? And this is what I was fascinated with. The trainers that can tell me whether they know where they want to be in 3 to 5 years are the ones that have a less emotional baggage.
Right. That's interesting.
The ones that have less emotional baggage can tell me how far they want to go. Like, I've got a figure of monetary value on my wall, and I can see it, and I'll get there.
Yeah.
I know what we're going to do with the education program. I know where I'm going. I see when I get there. However, it's not always been the way. So when I've had self-doubt, limited belief, frustration, anger, resentment, all these kind of emotions that get thrown around in people's heads, jealousy, comparison, all of these, that's what goes on in the fitness industry.
Yeah.
That creates clutter. And so to try and think about what I'm actually supposed to be doing on this planet when all of those things are going on in the background, angry, fearful, resentful, loathing, self-doubt, frustration, comparison. They're all over the place. So then you go and sit on a course and you're looking at the tutor going, I'm never going to be as successful as they are. They've got way more money than me. Look at them. They're in great shape. What did he talk about? That's what's happening, in my opinion.
Really?
So what I truly believe is that the journey of a fitness professional, which is why in the book I talk about personal, physical, professional, is get involved in personal development. Start to understand what I call clutterfuckers that's going on in your head, and try and create some sense of order and structure. I think someone said to me on a podcast the other day, describe personal development. And I just went, control. Personal development is not about being better than anybody else. Personal development is not about dealing with like the fact that I'm not good enough, that it's not all bad, because it's kind of like there's a lot of good in personal development, because personal development, maybe you're managing some of the emotions that's stopping you, but those emotions are also two-sided. So for all the bad things, there's lots of good things going on, but you're just not looking at it. You're not looking at it.
Yeah, I think so many people think that it's all doom and gloom, but it's all upside.
Well,
it's win-win.
You choose to look at the upsides.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. Trainers are choosing to look at the fact that they're not far enough ahead. They're not this, they're not that. Okay. What's the upsides of where you're at right now? Well, I've got self-doubt. No. Let's talk about you, your journey. What's the upsides? I never thought I'd be a personal trainer. I'm so grateful that I'm a personal trainer. I'm learning more. My clients are getting better results. Oh, okay. So you're on the way, right?
Yeah.
So do you not think that if we did more of on the way and we managed a bit of this stuff that's going on in the background, you would be able to go on the way a bit further? Yes. So I tend to help rearrange a lot of the noise that's going on so that coaches and fitness professionals can then decide and make a clear understanding of what path they're on, and then map out the steps that's needed to take to get there, and then own that. And then you're on your way, not trying to go on somebody else's way. And that's where I think the noise is. He's done that seminar. Jesus, if I don't tag the fact that I was doing their online course, I'm going to look a twat. So I'll book on that course. I'll share it on my story. I won't retain any information, but I've done it.
Yeah.
Good job. That's got you $2,000.
Yeah, that's education junkies that they just want, everybody's done it. Everybody's bought the book because they were meant to buy the book. Don't actually read the book, let alone, go through and use the book practically. It's so common.
Exactly.
Mate, I'm conscious that I'm using up your whole time.
Don't worry, I love that. I love talking to you.
Can you tell me, let's talk about your book briefly. And I know you just mentioned it there. I'm reading it and I'm actually reading it and I'm bloody enjoying it. Now if I read it and I thought, oh God, I'd say, yeah, mate, the book's good. But I'm like buzzing off the page, mate. How long did it take you? And tell me, who's it for? Like in your mind, who you kind of had in your mind when you were writing it?
Do you know what? I explained this recently. Like when I thought about writing a book, it took me about 8 months to do. I've had lots of ideas,
right?
Pen to paper, I had lots of ideas of what to do, but I was in Abu Dhabi and I was speaking at a gym that I'd been brought over to teach in to a group of trainers.
Drop that in there.
The sheikh flew me out on his jet. No, he didn't. So basically, I was asked. The reason I say this to you is because I was asked to I was brought out to teach at a gym, and it was really great. But the owner of the facility was a very wealthy Arabic gentleman, and he stayed on day one to listen to my seminar. And I was like, "You're not even a trainer."
Yeah.
But he sat there, very presentable in his dish dash, and it was amazing. I always think that they're billionaires. Every time I see an Arab wearing a dish dash, I think they're billionaires. I've always had this thing of, I remember being in Kuwait once, and I think as a young child, the person I was introduced to was obscenely wealthy. Right. So then when somebody says, no, everybody wears a dish dash, and I was like, oh, right, crikey. So I was kind of almost bowing at everybody that I met in a dish dash. So this gentleman at the end of the evening, I don't know. I know you're like this, but you just love soaking up successful people's knowledge.
Yeah.
And I got to the end of the evening, speaking for the day, and I was going to train, and I saw him stood there, and I thought, I need to take this opportunity. I don't know why I'm going to ask you this question, but do you mind if I ask you a question? He went, no. I said, you're very successful. But while I'm over here in Abu Dhabi, I keep thinking about writing a book. But I don't know what to do a book on. So I don't know, after listening to me speak all day, why do you think I haven't written a book? I just asked him.
Yeah.
And he went, because you're going to write a legacy book. And you're probably not done yet. And I went, oh my gosh. So I was on my own, and I went back and I sat in the hotel, and I went, oh my God. I'm not here to write a topic.
Yeah.
I'm here to write a map, give tools. Because my journey has been about finding the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not inspired to talk about a subject. I
Mm-hmm.
love muscle hypertrophy. I love fat loss. I love building a business. I don't want to write a book on one of those subjects.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted a story, a journey, right? So what I ended up writing was Level Up, which is not about a destination. It's not about being egotistical. It's not about being better than anybody else. It's about being better than you were yesterday, today.
Mm-hmm.
And that level up mentality is, to get to where I want to get to, I've got to step up again and challenge and step up and challenge. Whether that's in personal development, there's always a way to go. Whether that's physically in your own body, your own knowledge, your results with your clients, whether it's business, learning more about money and finance, having a business and a life vision. There's so much that you can achieve if you keep setting new goals and new boundaries for yourself and going in search of the information. So what I've done is laid it out in a framework. Essentially, I love the word excellence, because excellence to me is not excellent as in done, it's on the way.
Yeah.
And that word excellence
it's
to
a
me
practice.
it's a practice. And every coach, every person in the industry, from the minute you're born to the minute you die, it's how fucking good can my life be?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what fascinates me, is that, you know, I'm in a house with my wife in London, and I just, every day, I just go, I'm not, by the way, I shouldn't be here. I'm grateful that I've been able to get here. But when I watch so many people, as you said a few minutes ago, leave the industry.
Yeah.
My intention with the book is to get it on as many tables as I possibly can around the world. And it be one of those books that when you get into the fitness industry, you read it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're in the fitness industry and you're wondering why you're not moving forward, read it.
Yeah. It's
And
definitely,
if you're where you are, and if you're where you are, Lucas, it hopefully will be a reminder of what you've achieved.
No, I'm the first one. I feel like I'm on day one still. And I read it and I thought, like, yeah, like it just gives you energy. But also, you know, a part of it is very nostalgic for me, because I feel like, yeah, God, that was fun. Like, and I remember some of the things you talk about. And I think it kind of highlights me, and back to comment almost what we said at the beginning with the Tony Robbins says, happiness comes from progress. And if you're not progressing, then you're unhappy. And there's nothing, what better thing to progress than yourself? And I think that's kind of like been the whole, I mean, you know, what we're both fascinated in, and why today I really wanted to kind of like delve into your journey with that, is this personal development. And you've got 3 Ps in the book, right? I've got it. Personal, physical, professional. Like personal being the first one, which kind of links to my question earlier, which is how important do you think that is? Clearly very, because it's the first thing you talk about, and without that you don't get the other 2.
Well, here's the thing. If you have doubt, fear, frustration, anger, resentment, or on the flip side of it, you're just literally so overwhelmed by what everybody else perceivedly has got that you think is way better than you, you're just in this limbo, and you're trying permanently to be someone that you're not. It's like owning someone else and living their life. And I think I've been through parts of my life. I was speaking to, you know, somebody on a podcast yesterday, and just saying that when I did the Poliquin certifications, I respected Charles so much. I looked up to him so much, and he helped me so much and mentored me so much along the way. But I almost tried to be him,
right,
in my own little way. You know, I'd come back and say to my clients, get in and do your workout, like he would kind of be. And I went through a phase of like literally trying to be him.
Right.
And I did strength and conditioning, and I know this. So I say to my clients, why have you not sent me your food diary? You don't want it bad enough. Like, no, I've just dropped 3 kids off at school and they've got their exams, you twat. Right? So, okay, but you don't want it bad enough. Right? You want to get leaner. So I had to learn that just like every other trainer. But also, I ended up training sports. So I ended up training hockey teams and all the guys. Well, I don't want to be and never did want to be a strength and conditioning coach. So I had, the boys were out. We had a great laugh with the hockey boys.
Amazing, yeah.
Amazing fun. I mean, what a great part of my career to work with these people. But I stopped myself and went, you don't want to be a strength and conditioning coach. And then I stopped.
Mate, do you know how, okay, so that sounds really easy and really simple, but that's so uncommon. And you did it quickly. That's the biggest thing about you is like, okay, so we used to go to the ice hockey games. Great. So I'd never seen it. Great sports. It's, you used to call it rugby on skates, and it is that. It's fights. It's fast. It's great. You get to train the guys around Nottingham. There are a bit of boys around town, and it's great fun. And coming from a sporting background, it's great fun to be involved in that. But that didn't stop you. The fact that it was fun didn't matter. So it was not getting to you where you wanted to be. So it went. It was like boom, overnight. Not doing that anymore. And it was so like, shit, like a real wake up call. Like, if I'm switched on because I can flip flap, if I'm on my kind of like mess around stage, I'm just mess around with the boys. I'll stick with the ice hockey lads. This is all right, isn't it? But you were so like, no, like if it doesn't get me where I want to get to, then it doesn't hang around. And that was like such and it's easy to say, oh, it wasn't really what I wanted. But so many people would have stuck around that for so long. And I see it. And now I've gone back into the commercial gym setting. I'll say back into it, never been into it, but now I am. You see that a lot. Trainers is like, oh, it pays the bills, and they're bored, and it's not really what they wanted to ever do, but they never took that jump, and they never made those sacrifices to then think, this is not getting me where I want to get to. The biggest question that I had up on my seminar, I think I asked it like 3 times throughout the day, is what do you want to be known for? And if you can never answer that question, then you have no journey. You don't know, like you have to work backwards from that point. And it's something that we went through, years ago. And it's really that like, what do you want to be known for? And then you have to live the life of that person.
And what do they say? The quality of the life depends on the quality of the questions.
Well, there we go.
No, but it's true, right?
Because
the one thing that I didn't realize I was doing was constantly questioning, am I happy? And I don't know whether you got to the part of the book, but there's 3 questions. Am I growing as a business? Am I growing as a person? And they're my 360 degrees of excellence questions.
Yeah.
So what I've tried to leave in the book are 4 questions. At every part throughout the book, it's called a pit stop.
Yeah, I love those pit stops, by the way. It's a great, I don't know where that came from, but it's great.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now that I had this is quite funny, but just on that, the quality of your life is dependent on the quality of the questions that you ask. And I realized that I asked a lot of questions. And I kept saying, I'm not happy. And I said to my dad, this is where it all stemmed from. Dad, if I'm not happy, I'll stop what I'm doing. So the funny thing is with this, here's the thing. I was doing a course on managing depression and anxiety recently, and it was just talking about people's purpose and vision and passion and mission. But I always said to myself when I was younger, if I'm not doing something I'm happy, I'll change. So what was happening there? I don't know. We've all got a genius inside of us, right? But my inner genius was saying, if I'm not happy, therefore, what I'm saying by happy is if I don't value what I'm doing, and I've changed this now. So when I said, if I'm not happy what I'm doing, I'll change. What I was saying then was, if I don't value the thing I'm doing, it's not right.
Right.
So when I was working for my dad in property in Birmingham, and I didn't enjoy it, and I wasn't fulfilled when I was waking up in the morning. This is all stuff that I've learned now. That's 8 or 9 years. So I'm sounding like I had this philosophical brain when I was younger. I was just winging it. Yeah. But we actually do right now speak a language of personal development. So the conversations that's going in our head are currently right now personal development. So you've got to listen. The first thing to me is listen to what's going on in your head, write it down. So I was like, I wasn't happy. And I said to my dad, by the way, Dad, I'm leaving Birmingham. and I'm not going to work for the company anymore. Just not happy. What are you going to do? I'm going to go back to university. Right. For the second time, yes. When I was at university, the quality of the questions I was asking was, I'm not happy here. Mm. But then the other question was, but where are you happy? And I was in the gym every day of the week. And then that gave me the answer to do a personal training course. So quality of the questions, listen to them. And if you can't answer the quality questions, the questions that's going on inside your head, find somebody that can give you that support to find out what the freaking hell they mean.
Yeah.
And one of the things I generally do with coaches, I ask a lot of questions and I pull out a lot of information from their minds, and then I give them a structured process to bring all this together to then develop your purpose, your mission, your values, and your kind of like roadmap to take you to where you want to get to.
Well, I highly recommend the book. And I've, I say that behind closed doors too. I've been getting a few messages on Instagram. What's Mark Cole's book? Is it worth it? Every single time. And I know there's no value in me telling you that, but I will. I tell everybody that I come in contact with.
Thank you,
and it's out this Saturday, the 3rd.
Is it third Saturday? Monday.
Might not be Monday. Yeah. Hey, never let me run your PR, right? It's when is it? Monday.
Yeah, don't get involved with PR.
Don't do it.
Monday the 3rd, which is my birthday, and I had to check that.
There we go.
What day it was.
Mate, speaking of questions, I put out on Instagram that I was going to do a podcast with you.
I was going to put one in.
And yeah, please. And people said, sent a couple of questions. So look, this is not going to take any time. They're quite specific, but let's just run through these because I know some people, it's a great opportunity to just get a couple of questions answered for them. Let me see what we got here. I've got a few. Some of them are, not worth answering. They'll take you 3 hours.
Okay.
Here you go. Here's a quick one. Maybe a quick one. Best book you've ever read. Have to pick one. And this is from a PT. So he's going to be, he's looking at maybe something that might help with that. Don't say your own.
No, do you know what? I just, one of the most valuable books that I read was, there's two ones. There was Book Yourself Solid, which is a business book. And then I've got to be honest and say that one of the most valuable books I ever read was Secrets of Success by, I'll tell you in a second. Just his name kind of disappears from me.
Okay, fine.
But ultimately what happened when I read The Secrets of Success, and his name's still on the tip of my tongue, but it gave me many actionable things that I want doing in my life. So when you read a book, like asking questions about book reading, it just opens up a whole new dimension, So Book Yourself Solid gave me a real good idea with business as to how to be in demand more.
Right. That's very cool.
And there were a couple of things. One was personal development, one was business.
Yeah.
But the other things is there's so many books that you read and you feel like you should be not letting some go, but there's two for you.
I get you. It's funny. When I read that question, I thought to myself, I mean, there's no way you can just pick one, but one that really stands out, and it's not a book that's you wouldn't see on any platform of like anybody's like billionaires books that they've read, is The Art of Being Brilliant, which
yes, I've heard of that.
It's one of the guys at M10 when I was there gave me it, and it's about 7 pages long, but it's just like the book of kind of just being nice and kind, and it's such a funny book that I've read it a few times over the years, and it's one that really kind of it just makes me better, and it just makes me be my best self, and when I'm just happier, and people around me are happier, and it's such a funny book that there's so many things that we've read of courses and education and personal development, but actually just a book that just kind of puts you in a good mood is so powerful.
And that book that I mentioned, by the way, is Success Principles by Jack Canfield.
Okay, great.
It's a very dense book, but it's just actionable stuff. So there's your one and there's my one.
Great. Next question is, if you're looking to transition, advice if you're looking to transition from employed PT to self-employed.
From employed personal trainer, fill your diary. You know, don't do the employed PT. I mean, if you're an employed personal trainer and those clients are yours and you're transitioning, surely the profit that the company's making off the personal training, they're not just going to hand straight to you. But if they are, and that's how the model is going to work, make sure you fill your diary first.
Yeah.
You know,
Sensible.
and I'm assuming if you're an employed personal trainer moving into a facility, here's the second piece of advice. If you're an employed personal trainer working in a gym, I'm assuming this might be the case, and you're going to be a freelance PT in another gym,
Yeah.
get 3 months of income in your bank as a cushion before you make the shift.
Yeah.
Because the revenue, that you're going to be very unhappy if you're living on bread and water whilst trying to build your business. The cushion will keep a smile on your face. The cushion will not make you be desperate, and the cushion will give you the confidence, because if you've got no money, your confidence is going to be through the floor.
Love it. Let's do one more, and then I'm going to let you go. Here we go. Here's an interesting one. Is it possible to be a good PT with a Zoom-based business model?
Is it possible to be a good personal trainer? Here's the thing. If you're online, I think you're an online personal trainer, an online coach. If you're a personal trainer, it's not Zoom based.
Mm-hmm.
A personal trainer is hands-on in the gym, and you're not a Zoom based personal trainer. You're an online coach that's still trading 1 hour at a time, and you're not giving the most amount of value to that person, or you are giving the most amount of value for that person as online. But the whole online coaching model is not Zoom hourly calls.
Yeah.
It's a completely different model. So I think that if the person is doing personal training on Zoom, it's not personal training. It's online coaching.
It's a strange one, isn't it? I think there's so many people that, I mean, online training is the thing. Nobody wants to almost be a PT anymore. And I kind of question, and you know, it'll annoy a lot of people, but I kind of question how into it you really were. Because for me, like when I'm seeing a body, it's like poetry in motion when I see like joints and muscles all moving in one, and I'm so into it and so like love it, that to just do one. I mean, I do a bit of online. I don't like it. And I tell all my clients that, you know, I'm very open with it. If I could have them in front of me, okay, it costs 10 times more, but like that is my real passion, and I'll never let it go. It's funny, isn't it? I mean, his question, can you be a good PT? I suppose, you know, then what makes a good PT?
Well, here's the thing. Can you be a good PT? My answer to that is no. Because to be a good PT, you're face to face.
Right.
No, and here's the thing. I still think to this day that online coaching, regardless of getting all the systems in place, and I teach a lot of people how to grow an online business, is nowhere near as rewarding as a personal trainer, as in face-to-face, being with people in the gym, having the crack. Because there are a lot of people, and I think this goes back to what we talked about earlier, understand what you're in the game for. Now, I know you charge a good amount of money for your personal training, and rightly so. And you are someone who's living in London and charging, and people will often look at what you charge per hour and go, that's not possible. I'm like, I know what he started out like.
Yeah.
So you've basically scaled your level of, you're still coaching the same amount of sessions, but charging 3 times, 4 times what you were charging in terms of personal training. Now, I remember saying to you before in Nottingham, I went from £35 an hour to £85, £90 an hour personal training, right? Now, considering you're doing 30, 40 sessions a week, 30 sessions a week, that's a reasonably decent blooming income, right? Now, when I question what somebody wants out of their life for the next 5 years, considering the next 5 years you can have $7,000 a year pay rise as a personal trainer and you love coaching people, I think that's phenomenal. I think there's a lot of people looking at online and thinking it's shiny objects and thinking, I'm in the fitness industry to just make money and train a lot of people.
Yeah, so
but
funny.
ultimately, if you're a coach, Lucas, and you are a coach, and this is not taking anything away from anybody running an online business, because I think if you're in it to have a lot of clients, quality of life that you deem to be at home and not in a gym coaching clients, then that's your value. That's what you love.
Yeah.
And that's great. But if you're going to be a personal trainer, like, I think that there's an amazing career as a personal trainer.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I think there's so much, the scale of online is clear and you can make so much money. But if I was in it for the money, I'd go and work in the city. There's easier ways to make money than doing the 15-hour days on a gym floor in a
But
sweaty gym.
I think what will always challenge people, and this is why I love my gym and I love the team and I love the fact we're personal trainers, personal training, and I never stop talking on my social media about personal training. I don't think it's dying. I think we're transitioning. I think that we're going to find a lot of personal trainers that will want to go online. And I said this on a podcast the other day. Someone said, what do you think to the future of the fitness industry? I think we're going to have a lot of people realizing that to build a brand online, considering why they got in the fitness industry, is not as easy as they thought. It's not as easy.
No, agreed. And, you know, the cream will always rise to the top. There's so many people that, you know, you get a huge following on Instagram or whatever, and then you release your 6-week diet thing. And that's fine. That'll work the first time, but you know, the boy who cried wolf, isn't it? It's not going to continue to work. And the people that are kind of hardworking PTs, changing people's lives one by one, you know, building that brick wall one by one, will always win in the end. And I think.
Well, I went very close to where you were the other day. Went down to Harley Street to see a dentist, and I love talking to these people because they're one-to-one.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the value. But look, that's why it's a different price point as well, right?
No. But it's not talking about Harley Street dentists. What I'm talking about is if you're in Leeds, can you charge £100 an hour? Yes. Did the dentist on Harley Street charge X amount per consultation 10 years ago? No. They were probably in the NHS to start with. Yeah. But 10 years later, they positioned themselves in a part of the country where they can charge higher ticket and build a business and a brand, and then got multiple people in the practice. It's still one-to-one. He's still got his hand down my mouth, looking at my mouth, going, hey, you know, I'm a one-on-one guy. But he's got multiple people working with him. So if you're a personal trainer and you eventually want to own your own studio, you know, I've got personal trainers earning decent money from a studio and having a little bit of online and having a team of trainers working with them, you know. So 100%. I just think, let's be very clear. What is it that you want to be? And if you really love personal training, you'll be very successful at it. Yeah. And if you're doing it and you're not very happy with it, and you actually would rather be at home and coach people, then go online. And I think we're going to end up having the online coaching world and personal training world pretty separate.
Yeah, I agree.
And rightly so, because personal training, online coaching is not personal training.
Right. There's so much that, you know, there's a huge part of personal training which is about the client experience and, you know, looking somebody in the eye and all that stuff. And that's the stuff that I love. And
you don't stay in a hotel room online.
No.
I'd like to stay in the X hotel online. I just want the experience of staying in the hotel. You go to a hotel. So when you're a personal trainer, it's the art of customer care, service, it's everything. And I think that it's a wonderful profession, and my support will be with it till my dying day.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to have you on my team. Mate, we need to wrap this up because I'm taking up all your time. But thank you so much. I'm so glad we got this done. If people want to find you, where's best? Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, where are you?
I just send me a letter.
It's on Pigeon.
So yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Mark Coles M10, and that's where you'll find me. Obviously, the book's available on Amazon from the 3rd of August. And if you want to know anything about our educational programs, just hit up my Instagram. You click the link in the bio, and you'll be sent to m10life.com, and you'll find everything on there. So
thanks very much. Well, thanks again. Speak to you soon.
My pleasure, mate. Take care.